This is 101 ESPN from Super Bowl 47 in New Orleans. Brought to you by Ryan Kelly, St. Louis's home loan expert, American Standard Heating and Air, and the BMR Commander Go Pack at Supplement Superstores.
All right, Kyle Turley, former NFL offensive lineman, of course, spent some time in St. Louis. We talked to Kevin Turner yesterday, and this leads to what you're doing down here trying to help the gridiron greats. And I told you during the break, I didn't even feel worthy of talking to him. The courage he shows. I'm one of these people that complains about everything. I can't believe this. I got to put up with that. I felt like such an idiot after this man walked away from here yesterday. He's battling ALS, as courageous as could be. It's truly humbling.
You can't help it. You can't help but feel that way. I mean, me with the injuries I've suffered, and I talk about these things, and then I get around guys like him and my buddy Steve Gleason, who's suffering from the same thing, and you're just like, I shouldn't be feeling bad. It really is. It's one of those things. I mean, a grandfather passed of this disease. It's horrific. It's similar to AIDS. It just takes you down, and it's an unbelievable disease that is plaguing football players at an astronomical rate above national averages. And now doctors are finally linking this thing to potential head trauma.
And that's because Steve Smith, the former Oakland fullback, and Steve Gleason, O.J. Brigance, Kevin Turner, and
it's a long list.
God knows,
unfortunately,
and Lord knows how many more we're gonna learn about. Look, you were a Warrior player, so I ask you this: you understand that this game has to be played a certain way. Realistically, in such a violent sport, how much can be done? I know the league's at least trying, but how much can be done? What do you have any recommendations?
Sorry to laugh. It's not a funny matter.
No, that's all right. I know.
But that the league is trying, which that's actually a valid statement.
At least they started.
It's a valid statement. They are trying, but they're not. I mean, just now we are finding that they've kept so much information from us. I'm involved in this litigation against the National Football League, and the evidence that I've seen that these lawyers have uncovered that the NFL knew is unbelievable. I testified in front of Congress on these issues and sat next to the NFL doctors that lied to Congress. Roger Goodell lied to Congress, and their doctors lied. And everybody, they just completely disowned this disease for so long, and that this had anything to do with football. I mean, literally sat next to this guy and him say that football cannot, quotations, have anything to do with this disease or brain trauma, repetitive, and all the ailments that are received from this. And now they're saying, oh, well, we realized that we were wrong,
Yeah, the studies are revealing it now.
Yeah, but they knew. They had studies, multiple studies decades ago that they performed, that they pushed aside and hid in a closet. And they have doctors that have, had this information stand on NFL sidelines that have written books on this that would not give that information to guys on their sidelines. And it's really, even to this day, seeing players during this football season be concussed, severe concussions, taken to the sideline, looked at, like I was, St. Louis major concussion, and just sat there on the sidelines, and they talk to you and ask you a couple questions, what's your name, and blah, blah, blah. And I've seen player after player continue this season even go back into games. DeMarcus Ware had a bad one, real bad one, back in the game, next play, next series. And we saw in the AFC Championship game that kid get knocked unconscious.
That's right.
And they took him to the locker room, let him come back on the field and sit on the sidelines in his pads. For what reason? I don't know. Why does he still have his pads on?
What's the purpose?
And do you really got a CT scan in that locker room that he should have been in immediately?
Let me ask you this, Kyle. And your criticisms of the NFL are on point, no doubt. But from a practical standpoint, what would you recommend? I mean that sincerely, like knowing it's a violent game, knowing that some of this is inevitable.
It is.
What can be applied in a way that makes more sense? The
answer is that first, what we've been calling for is an independent doctor dealing with a qualified neurologist to be on the sideline. The NFL just came out yesterday and made a statement saying that they expect to have those doctors on the sidelines next season. We've been calling for that for a long time because of the serious nature of this injury. And we're finally hearing that from the NFL that they're going to accommodate that, or at least they say they expect to. But what can you do? You can start to eliminate the unnecessary hits that players take. I mean, how many training camps that I've been through, 2 two-a-day practices. I mean, training camp, you've been there.
Sure.
You've gone up there and been in these things where it's just unbelievably extreme heat and the weather's just hot all the time. I mean, down in New Orleans, 135 on the heat index during training camp practices. We're out there with 20 pounds of gear on and helmets and battering our heads against each other relentlessly twice a day for hours. And, people say, that's football. Well, take a step back, because this football thing that you're saying is not just. It lasts a lifetime. And if they could see the stories, I mean, I worked with Sean Pamphilon. He's with me around here. We're running around, and we had a presentation at Tulane University to medical students yesterday, associated with LSU students as well. LSU was supposed to be at their campus, and they canceled it because they found out Sean's movie I was going to show. And he's done an amazing job.
His documentary,
I'm
really looking forward to
The United
seeing
States
that.
of Football is going to wake people up. There's some other films that are out there. Chris Nowinski's Head Games, and Kevin Turner has a film that's been documented his deal, so Steve Gleason. But this story spans so many different people and affects so many more people than you would think, that it could affect anybody out there in the general public. And that's the information that needs to get out. What do we see in the X Games? Just happened yesterday. That kid died finally.
I heard about that too, man.
Or ultimately, not finally. I mean,
I know what you meant.
I mean, it's just that was because of a concussion situation where that kid was not immediately tended to. He initially got up from that and walked off. Everybody saw it, and they assume, oh, you're okay. You're not broke. You're not dislocated. You're not bleeding where we can see it. But so we're going to sit here and try to guess what's wrong with you. When we saw the ski come down on the back of the kid's head, and I knew from moment one, bam, concussion, knocked out. This kid's hurting. And these things need to be put in place where at these events you have immediate transportation to hospitals. I mean, I had at St. Louis 2003 knocked unconscious in the last play of the third quarter, sat on the sideline the rest of the game, taken to the locker room, brought to the shower, brought to my locker, put your clothes on. Here's your stuff. The players in the locker room say Georgia Frontiere comes in after we win and everything. They say I gave her a hug butt naked or something. I don't even know.
I don't mean to laugh.
No, it's funny,
The
but
visual's
because
funny,
it
man.
is. It really is. And I don't know about that. Maybe that's why she invited me over to her house. With her and Earl. But that's how they did things. That's how they still do things. I was released to my wife, and here, take him.
Yeah, instead of going to Barnes.
I had to find a police officer. My wife did, because I didn't know what was going on. My wife had to find a police officer to take me to the hospital. After about 2 hours after I had a serious grade 3 concussion, where the CDC had come out with guidelines that I find out later because of this whole concussion thing, I should have been to the hospital immediately. I stayed in the hospital for 2 days where these doctors were so concerned about my concussion, and then was back on the field of practice 2 days later, and still complaining. How do you feel, Kyle? My head's still ringing, but, I'm feeling a little bit better, my body's feeling better. It's all right, we'll see how it goes today.
Because players want to be
go out there and let Leonard Little bull rush the hell out of you all practice.
I mean, and players need to be protecting from themselves too, because the instinct is to get back. That's what you've been.
That's our nature. That's what we've been trained to do.
You've been drilled your whole life. Get back. Well, listen, man, keep fighting the good fight.
Thank you.
You're an important voice on this.
Can't stop, won't stop, man. This is
right.
affecting my people. This is my family, and when you have family that's affected by something,
right.
It's your duty to stand up. I've been privileged and never forgot where this game came from and all the guys that supported it underneath for me to make millions of dollars and enjoy that lifestyle and what I have. And that's what, people need to understand, is that there are human elements to this that last a lifetime.
Kyle Turley,
Thank you,
ladies and
guys.
gentlemen, from New Orleans. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah, you're right.
We'll
Go
see
Rams.
You soon. We'll see you soon.